Let me deactivate them as well.
Mm-mm.
I have hidden my thing. We're not live yet, are we? So we'll only go. I see red there. We're not
Yes,
live yet.
ma'am. We are live.
Are we live already?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are we not live at 2?
Okay, let me unmute this one so they don't.
Yeah. So we need to go live at 2 p.m. on the DST.
Okay, I'm posting it, ma'am.
Yeah. So if you could do that. Yeah. So we'll go live at 2 o'clock, as in start the lesson. So I just wanted to check whether everything works for now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But we can allow, yeah, so we can allow them to come in, but let's just, yeah, go live in the next 7.
Okay.
Otherwise, I will hear our private conversations. Okay. So am I going to meet Zibusiso today? I didn't get your name, sorry. So it's Ramo Kone, is it? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no, 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 I was just asking. So am I meeting Zibusiso today?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. And your name is Ramokone, is it?
Mkombo.
Oh, you combo. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. All right. I will be starting at 2 then. So let me just do my last preps, okay?
Okay. I
Okay, we're ready.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
In 1 minute.
Okay. Few seconds.
Few seconds, yes. Hello, everybody, and a great afternoon to everyone. My name is Andiswa Maka, and I would like to welcome you to the grade 12 first additional English class. So I hope everybody had a lovely long weekend and celebrate the I see red 7th of April.
Yeah, like.
So I hope you had a great time and reflect just how far we've come when it comes to freedom, all the freedoms that we get to appreciate now as youth and as citizens of South Africa. So yeah, all right, so back to today's lesson. So what we're going to focus on today is writing essays, okay? So we are going to learn about the structure of the essays, the essay types, and the steps on writing essays, okay? So to write a successful exam essay, because exams are approaching, we just don't know when exactly, but this is just in preparation, for you to just make sure that you are all geared up. So to write a successful exam essay, you need to give yourself time to plan your ideas, okay? And you need to write a draft. So once you have edited and corrected everything, so you get your final essay already. But it's really important that you get to provide a presentable essay after. So what we're going to do first is just take you through the structure of the paper. So we have 3 sections. So we're going to start with the essay. So that's section A. As you can see, the marks will be awarded to the content and planning, language, style, and editing, as well as structure. Okay, so you can see the number of marks is 30 for content and planning. So that is a bulk. So you need to make sure that you are on par when it comes to that. And language and style, 15 marks. And for structure, then it will be 5 marks. So we are focusing on that today. But section B, which we will do in the coming days, that's longer transactional text. So for example, an official letter, writing a short article, writing a review, that's all part of longer transactional text. And section C would be your shorter transactional text, so a diary, for example, an invitation, or writing an advertisement. Okay. So just things to note. You must show your planning and draft version of all your work. Remember that, okay? The plan must appear before each text. Make sure that the planning and draft version of your final work is clearly labeled as such. It is advisable to draw a line through your planning, okay? Just to show that this is planning and this is my final draft. You don't want to confuse the marker. Point 2, give each text type that you write a suitable title or heading. Don't include the title or heading in the word count, okay? It doesn't count. Thirdly, make sure that you number your answers correctly according to the numbering system used in the question paper. And start each section on a new page. So these are just the general rules that you need to make sure that you follow to times, okay? And I would definitely say that you can be creative, be as creative as you can, but make sure that you stick to the topic. So don't go off course at some point during your essay. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is the essay structure. Okay, an essay must have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. The introduction is the first paragraph of an essay. It should catch the reader's attention and suggest what the essay is about. So that would be the topic. So it needs to set the tone. Okay, so be very clear when it comes to introducing what you're going to talk about. Okay, it also rouses the reader's interest as well. So you need to be creative in pulling the reader's interest. And now we look at the body. So the longest part of the essay is the body of the essay. It's divided into paragraphs. Each paragraph usually contains one main idea about the essay topic. We will break that down as we continue the lesson. And lastly, as part of the structure, you will need your conclusion. And that is the last paragraph in an essay. It brings the essay to the end. No new information is given, remember? So you basically are summing up your ideas, but it often brings together, some key points or ideas. So you basically put together just a summary of your ideas. And that would be our structure. We have introduction, we've got a body, and a conclusion. Okay, so just a hint. The points you make in your paragraphs need to be relevant to the topic. And they have to make sense. So we just don't write for the sake of writing, but there needs to be sense in what you're writing. Aim to write a coherent essay. Now, what do I mean by that? The ideas in the essay must link together so that a reader can read and understand the essay easily. So that's very, very important. Your sentences and paragraphs need to be in a logical order so that your ideas are easy to flow and to understand. Okay? And lastly, your sentences and paragraphs must be written using correct grammar and no spelling or punctuation errors. So please look out for that. If you want to present a beautiful piece, it's important for you to make note of those things as you put together your essay. Okay? Now we move on to steps you need to take for writing an essay in exams. So step 1, choose your topic and type of essay. And step 2, we plan our essay. Step 3, write and edit your draft essay. And the last step would be to write your final essay. So we are going to break that down, okay, and see what that looks like. So we know that there are 5 types of essays. So firstly, we get a narrative essay. What is it? So it tells us a story. It will have the word story in the topic. So you will see if, for example, you ask to write a narrative essay, so there will be that word in the topic. It has characters, there's a setting, as well as the plot. Second type of essay would be a descriptive essay. So what does it do? It describes an experience. It describes an event or a place. A third type, a reflective essay. Now that one shows how you think or feel about a topic. It shows your emotions, hopes, and dreams. So there's a lot of creativity there. And the fourth one, it's a discursive essay. This one presents both sides of an issue based on the topic. And the last one would be an argumentative essay. So it must support one side or the other. Okay, so when it comes to choosing a topic, so there will be 8 topics in an exam setting. Okay, so you need to choose one of these topics on which you write your essay. So you only need to write one essay. Okay. So a particular topic may suit one type of essay better than the other. For example, if a topic asks whether you agree or disagree, then you have to go for the argumentative essay type. Okay, so we see all the examples there. So you have lots to choose from. So there is a variety there. And just a hint that I can give you here. When it comes to choosing an essay topic in an exam, read carefully through all the essay topic in your exam paper. So just check and read through the essay topics. Read through the essay topics a second time. Cross out those topics that you do not or that you're not interested in. Choose the topic about which you have the most to write. So choose something that you can easily write about. So something that really moves you, a topic that really moves you, a topic that you know that you are more informed about. Then it really helps you in putting together your ideas because they will flow much easily if you are familiar and you are quite interested in that topic. And you have to focus your attention on the topic you have chosen. So don't go sideways. Don't take an off ramp. Okay. Decide which essay type best suits the topic you've chosen. And then you start planning your essay. Okay. Now moving on to planning your essay. Okay. So I'm sure we recognize this picture here. So the content and planning are important, like very important, as we've seen there in the mark allocation. So you have to really put your focus in there. So they are with more than half the marks for your essay. So really invest your time, invest your energy when it comes to content and planning. Decide which type of essay you think is most suitable for the essay topic and remind yourself of the features of these types of essays. Okay, so have that at the back of your mind at all times. Okay, because that will mold that will mold your written piece. Plan your essay by writing down your ideas for the content of the essay. The content refers to the main ideas, so that would be points or details in your essay. What it is, so it's basically what it is mainly about. It must be relevant to the topic. Once you've written down a few ideas, you can organize them then by numbering them. So that is one way you can plan. So this will show the order of your paragraphs for the structure of your essay. So there are many, many different ways to plan an essay. So for example, you could use what you can see on screen. You can use a mind map. Okay, so you use the planning method that best works for you. For example, back in the day, when I was studying and I had to write essays. Now at university, my dears, you have to write like 3 essays in one exam sitting. So a method that worked for me was basically just listing my ideas. So I'm not a mind map person, but listing worked for me. So it might work differently for you. Okay. But when it comes to essay content and planning, the content of your essay needs to show that you have understood the essay topic. So we can't just put random ideas that don't quite go with the topic that you have chosen. Your ideas must be relevant to the essay topic. So avoid repeating the same ideas in your essay. It becomes boring, repetitive, and to the reader, then they don't really, they won't get it and they won't be interested and be drawn in what you're writing. Think of it as making a beautiful, uh, maybe piece of steak, you know. So it's important, you know, when you make a beautiful piece of steak, the smell, you know, the kind of spices you choose, everything goes, in making that beautiful piece at the end of the day. So think of it that way, okay? So you need to aim to include a variety of interesting ideas in your essay. So make it readable, make it interesting. You need to show evidence that you have planned your essay. The examiner will want to see your crossed out planning notes. Okay, so you will definitely need to make sure that that is seen. Okay, and also make sure you understand the features of the types of essay you have chosen. So as I've said, we have narrative, we have descriptive, we have reflective, we have discursive, as well as argumentative. It needs to show. And yeah, so just you just need to make sure that that is very clear. Okay, so this will also just help you focus your ideas and your planning. So as you can see here with our mind map, so we have chosen a mind map. Okay, so basically a mind map will be, a diagram, okay, of ideas. So the title is in the center, as you can see, essay topic, okay, with branches coming from it, okay, showing thoughts. So these are the thoughts. So when planning, when thinking of a topic, there will always be random ideas, coming, flooding in. So when you have this type of structure, when you have your mind map, you can just quickly add this idea. You add another idea and another one. All right, so it really just helps you organize as your ideas are flowing. Okay, so we can see this. So these this basically just will help you be able to know exactly which details you want to add, So first you think big picture, okay? There's my introduction. What would I like my ideas to be? And then once I've had my ideas, then what details can I just add in those ideas? And as part of the main five, uh, or rather as part of the structure, then you would say, what do I want my conclusion to be? So it looks, or it helps you just organize your thoughts and just your writing if you have it like right there. I've got the idea for an introduction, and then I've got my ideas. Maybe there'll be 3 paragraphs, and then I have my conclusion. So if you have this, then you will definitely be able to have your ideas flow beautifully when you're writing your piece. Okay. So this is another type of planning. So that is an idea list. So that's what I mentioned. So this would be me. I would do or plan my essay like this. So these basically help you to quickly write down ideas for each paragraph. So you write down your ideas as they come to you, and you then organize them in a logical order. So when you're planning your essay, remember the features of the type of essay you've chosen all the time. Just remember that. Okay, as the ideas flow in, think, okay, I am writing an argumentative essay now. Is this idea going to flow with the argumentative essay that I'm writing? So that must constantly, come forth. Okay, so that is the second type of planning. So go with what works for you. Okay, so others, they prefer the mind maps, and others would rather stick to the ideas list. All right. We continue to step 3. So it's important to note that an exam essay must be between 250 to 300 words long. Okay. And so basically, it's important to write a draft of your essay. So using the ideas from your plan. So remember, we don't plan and then you write something totally different. So when it comes to writing and editing your draft essay, you read through each sentence carefully, okay, to proofread it, to make sure that it is saying exactly what you want to get across. Look for any spelling, punctuation, or other language mistakes. Okay, remember you are you are judged or you are marked, okay, based on the accuracy of these points or of your grammar, of your punctuation, and other language structures. Edit your draft by correcting these mistakes and making any other changes you think are needed. Okay, so this is a very important step, just a quality check. So this will definitely improve your language and writing style in your final essay. And then you count the number of words in your essay and you make any changes to meet the word limit. For example, you may need to add some words or maybe use fewer words. Okay, so that just gives you an opportunity to adjust your paragraph or to adjust your writing. And just another hint, a few other hints. So as I've said, you check that your grammar, spelling, and punctuation are correct. Check that you've chosen a variety of words that are appropriate to the topic. And it's also important to show the marker that you have edited your draft. There is no way that we will write a perfect or a perfect essay from the first draft. So so that will be clearly shown in your draft. So the marker will be able to see the progress of your work. Think about your audience to help you choose the right register for your essay. So a register can be formal, for example, if your audience is a teacher, or informal, for example, if your audience is your friend. So you have to think about the register. And also think about the style. So the way you write your essay creates a style of writing. The words you choose and the length of your sentences are 2 examples of how a writing style is created. And thirdly, a tone. So the tone of the essay is the feeling the writer gives the writing. For example, the tone could be playful or it could be serious. So think about these things. The register, do you want it to be formal or informal? What about the style and the tone? All right, so those are things to consider. All right, and then the fourth and final step. Okay, so that would be your final draft. You must give your essay a title. Sometimes the essay topic will tell you what the title must be. If it doesn't, just think of a title that clearly expresses what the essay is about. So that's very important, okay? Remember, everything needs to agree with everything else and it needs to flow in a logical order and it needs to make sense. So you write your final essay now. So when you write a final essay, you rewrite your draft. You make sure that you make all the changes you marked in your draft so that your final essay has no mistakes and clearly expresses all your best ideas. When you have finished your final essay, cross out your planning and draft essay. Remember, if you don't do this, the examiner may mark your draft and not your final essay, and we do not want that. We do not want that. Okay, so rewrite your draft so that it shows all the corrections and improvements you have made. Keep looking back at your draft as you write your final essay so that you don't copy, so that you copy it correctly. And then your writing must be clear, it must be neat so that it's easy for the marker to read. So just do your best not to make new mistakes. Trust me, it's very, very easy to make those slip-ups, especially if you've been at it for an hour or so. So it's easy to make new mistakes even when you write your final essay. So just keep checking back and forth. The essay must be within the word limit. So just don't go overboard now, okay? That's not going to impress the marker. Instead, it's going to make them very tired when they have to read your essay. So just be mindful of the word limit, okay? So the total number of words in your essay must not be less than 250 words. Okay, so it must be between, yeah, so just between 250 and 300. Not more than 300, but not less than 250 words, okay? So another thing you mustn't forget is you don't include the words of your essay, the title in the word count. So if you have 272 words in your essay and your title has 4, don't add the 4 words in your title, okay, to make it 276. Just stick to so the words in your essay. So we exclude the number of the words in our title when we do the word count. Okay, so I hope that is clear for everybody. Yeah, so those are the 4 steps that we need to follow. Okay, so I draft, and so, okay, so someone is asking their draft and planning compulsory. Yes, yes, yes. The marker needs to see your work, okay, before you can produce your final piece. They need to see the steps that you've taken. So you just make sure that you include that, and it needs to be in front or before your final work. But also make sure that you cross your draft so that the marker does not mark your draft and think that it's your final. Remember, they are marking hundreds and hundreds of scripts. They don't have time to decide whether this is a draft or whether this is a final or a final piece. So just be very, very careful when it comes to that. I hope you have been answered. All right. Lovely, lovely. Okay, now back to, so I'll give you an example. So today we'll talk about the narrative essay, okay? So we'll focus on the narrative essay, the structure, how you put that together, okay? So a narrative essay basically tells a story or describes a sequence of events. It can be written from any perspective, okay? So it could be first person, as you've said there, okay, or a third person. The first person narrator will use the pronouns I or we, while the third person narrator will use pronouns such as he, she, they, and them. Okay, so you need to choose which stance you will take there when it comes to putting together your narrative piece. A narrative essay can include dialogue, so that would be speech between characters in the story, and often includes interesting descriptions. This helps the reader to imagine what is happening, so the story comes alive. So your creativity, my friends, there, So just make sure that when you write a story, you paint a picture, okay? So that the reader is drawn into the piece. There will definitely be more marks there. So just a few hints there when writing a narrative essay. So you must tell a story, number one. Okay, introduce the characters and setting, where and when the story happens. Narrate what happens. So that will be the plot. End your essay with an interesting ending. Okay, so you can see there. So you need to have your intro, all right? Then you need to have your body and you need to have your conclusion. Describe what things look like, sound, taste, or smell like. Use language creativity by using adjectives there, by using adverbs. All right, so we need to brush up on our adjectives there. Okay, so I will, in one of the lessons, we will go through some adjectives as well, so that you understand and you also just get an idea of how you can paint your story or paint a picture in your story. Okay, so so adjectives and using adverbs, they basically, make your descriptions more exciting. People can, or a marker can imagine themselves, in the story, okay, or seeing exactly what you are painting. You need to use different lengths of sentences and paragraphs to create different effects, okay? For example, short sentences create drama and tension. For example, we say, he heard footsteps. They came closer. The door slowly opened. You see, so it creates that, certain kind of effect. So please, make a note of these things. It can be useful to include words that show time passing, for example, early that evening or the next day, for example. Okay, so so let's use these tips in order to just create that beautiful piece that speaks to the reader. Okay, that paints that picture so clearly that they can see themselves there. They can smell, they can envision what you are talking about. So very, very important there. Okay. So if we talk about so the main features, for example, of narrative writing. So just before that. So if you look at the main features, I'm just going to take you through the main features of it. Okay, so we have characters, so that would be people, as I've said, people in the story. Okay, so it could be, yeah. So, and then we've got a plot, what happens, we've got a setting, we have a theme, we have a structure, and we talked about the creative use of language. Okay, so now there's a topic of a narrative essay now. The topic there is, I am an old desk in a classroom, and this is my story. So as we can see, basically, this is a story. So basically, a desk is narrating its experiences. Okay, so now we look at the planning. Okay, so remember, we need to work out and see what the structure will look like. Okay, and then we plan. So if the topic, for example, then says, I am an old desk in a classroom and this is my story. So an introduction, for example. So a name would be appropriate. So we would say, my name is Pine, and then desk in a science classroom, nobody sits on me anymore, bits and pieces scattered. So that would be your introduction. And then your second paragraph, so maybe you can Your idea might be old but special. How old legends have sat on me? Okay. And then, for example, you can think about a list of legends who have sat on that desk. Maybe it could be Mark Shuttleworth, it could be any famous person you can think of, So you're painting a picture now. The desk is, absorbing you into its experience and taking you through, its life experience. Third paragraph, so you might talk about, engravings, marks each person has made, tell my story, you show my pain and love, So remember, we're jotting down these ideas, we're jotting them down as we are putting our essay together. And the fourth paragraph, so you could talk about double disc, know about science, but love. So remember, you're still thinking. So this is not a full piece yet. And then we have our conclusion there. So generations to grow. Do I know what love is? Okay. So that is basically our mind mapping. So we have created now our, or drafted our, just how our essay will look like. Okay. Now, editing. Okay. Now we are putting together the paragraphs. They look very random there. So now putting it together. So this is our first draft. Okay. So I'm an old desk in a classroom and this is my story. So as per our mind map, so the introduction, we see there. So would be, hello there, my name is Pine. I'm an old broken down desk. As you can see there, okay, so first, in fact, we are writing. So we're not thinking, we're just writing it down. So I will just read it out. And I want you to just notice the mistakes as I read. I'm an old broken down desk situated at the back of a science classroom. Nobody sits on me anymore because my bits and pieces are scattered around the whole school. You may think that I'm kind of silly looking and old. In fact, I'm very special. Legends have sat on me. You don't know them, or you don't know them all, but one may stand out in particular, Mark Shuttleworth. He makes my wooden heart beat stronger. And then we said off there, and that was a mistake. Okay, with pride, and he makes me forget about back pain caused by those rotten, rusted nails. So the other legends you won't know, but they stayed special to me. I felt their pain when they failed a test. My age lines grinned and smiled and rejoiced with them when they excelled. I know they made it far and moved forests today. But as for me, I'm still here. So if you see, so it is still a first draft, right? So chances are you will make a mistake, as you've seen there. Okay, so the learner corrects her spelling. We're assuming it's she this time. So her broken, so she had a look at her sentences and saw, okay, so these are the mistakes that I've made. Okay, let me correct them. So this is still a draft. Okay, so she's added a punctuation dash there, and she's corrected her spelling there. Okay, and then the heart, so yes, so this is still the whole process. Okay, so it continues there. So I will just have you have a look, all right? Just see how she has put the draft together and just how she's editing her work, okay? Just have a read. Okay, so this is the first draft here. Okay. So once that whole process has been done, you have edited, your punctuation looks top notch, okay, and then you've changed the words here and there. So your piece would look something like this. So this would be the learner's final draft. And let's see what it looks like. So I will just read it out. So the topic, I am an old desk in a classroom, and this is my story. Hello there, my name is Pine. I am an old broken down desk situated at the back of a science classroom. Nobody sits on me anymore. My bits and pieces are scattered around the whole school. You may think that I am kind of silly looking and old. In fact, I am very special. Legends have sat on me. You don't know them all, but one may stand out in particular, Mark Shuttleworth. He makes my wooden heart beat stronger with pride, and he makes me forget about back pain caused by those rotten, rusted nails. The other legends you won't know, but they stayed special to me. I felt their pain when they failed a test. My age lines grinned and smiled and rejoiced with them when they excelled. I know they made it far and move forest today. But as for me, I'm still here. The engravings on my head show my life story. Oh, I need to move this. Apologies for that. There's something in my way. The story of loneliness. Frustration, excitement, pain. Notice the word pain is very similar to my name. And of course, love. Did I mention that I'm a double desk? A desk for two? I've seen all kinds of love. Childish love, forbidden love, and great love. I know everything there is to know about science because I have learned it over and over again. But I don't understand love. Love is mystical. Love is kind. Love is blind. I see the new generations grow older. They grow bolder. They will always be stronger. And my heart grows fonder. Maybe I really know what love is. Beautiful, beautiful piece there. Okay, so you can definitely feel what the poor desk feels, you know. So there's great creativity in grammar as well, you know. And I like if you look at, if you just go back up there. So the engravings on my head show my life story, the story of loneliness, frustration, excitement, pain. So this is also, it's short and it's for you to really think about it. It's a bit dramatic as well. So those are the kinds of things you need to look out for, that you need to think about when you're putting together a piece. You know, as the examiner or as the reader reads it, you know, they need to, I'm sure as you saw, the way that I read it, so it need to come across in your writing as well. Okay. Right. So let's have a look at the features now of the narrative essay. So if you look at the characters there. So the characters here would be Pine, so that would be the desk. Learners, including famous people and lovers who use the desk. I just love how beautifully the language is used there. So when the happenings of the lovers, were mentioned, they were not vivid, but you got an idea of what was being talked about. So it's very, very clever, the type of wording that you use to create a picture, okay, without really being explicit in your writing. And then we have a plot. That will be what happens in the story. And we've got the order of events as well. So the story has a strong storyline. The desk remembers people who have used it and how they made it feel. So it ends with the climax as the desk realizing that it loves the learners who used it. We've got a setting, where and when the story happens. So where, so that is the science classroom. And that has come across. And we have a theme, so that would be the main ideas shown in the story. So we have the movement of learners through the classroom. They move on as they grow up, but the desk remains, the meaning, and then the meaning of love as well. So those are all, so that would be the theme of that piece. And when it comes to structure, so that would be the organization of the paragraphs. So from the past to the present and looking ahead to the future. So that will be from concrete as well to the abstract. So we have to look at those things. We have to consider those things as well. And that creative use of language. So it's strong. There are strong, interesting words that are used. So we've got age lines, we've got legend, scattered, moving forest, rejoice, excelled, rotten, frustration, forbidden, love, mystical. Okay, so as I've mentioned earlier, so there's short sentences and then there are paragraphs to add the impact. So try to be more creative when it comes to the use of your sentences, okay? So think, which part do I want to be dramatic, okay? Which part do I want to create a picture, So that will determine the length, okay, of your sentences. Okay, so we continue. Now, so this will be for homework, guys and girls. So please, I would like you to jot this down, okay? So you are going to write a story that includes the following words. Suddenly, there was absolute silence, okay? So you need to note that the words given in the topic must be included somewhere in your essay, because this is narrative, as we've said, and you have to write a story that begins with the following words. Okay, so in this case, this is actually another one. So it was the greatest day of my life. So the words given in the topic must be used, okay, in the first sentence. All right. So this is your homework. So please have a look at it. Have a look at it. So I'm looking forward to seeing beautiful pieces. So just have a read. I have questions there. Okay, so I have a question there. How many words in the story? So remember we said it's between 250 words to 300. Okay, so anything in between there. Not less than 250, not more than 300. So between 250 to 300 words. Okay, so remember the word count as well. And also remember the topic of your sentence is not included in the word count. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Kaylee. Thank you for the question. Okay. Oh, right. Okay, Tabile raised a hand there. Okay, Tabile. So you may ask. I don't hear you, Tabile.
Okay, if it happens that I write more than 300 words in a final exam, so
Hmm.
what will they penalize me for that?
Chances are might be, you might be. But please follow the guidelines. You see, we don't want that to happen, right? So we don't want our marks to, so we don't want to lose any marks over a simple mistake. So just make sure that you stick to the 250, 300. Okay.
All
Um,
right, thank
100
you.
words. Yes, make sure. Okay, do you have more people? Any questions? Okay, so I don't see any questions. Yeah, all right. Okay, just to clarify here, okay, just to clarify, okay, you choose one of the two, okay, so I have questions there. Choose one of the two topics, okay, I don't want you to do both. So you can either go for topic number one, suddenly there was absolute silence, or number two, it was the greatest day of my life, okay? So let's see. Um, okay. So we've answered that question or that number of words question. So just stick to 200 between 200 and 250 and 300. Okay. All right. Any more questions, my dears, before we conclude? Okay. I don't see or hear anything. Okay. So to conclude, okay, my screen is frozen. Okay, back. No, back. There you go. When technology just decides to not come and play. Okay, so a takeaway message. So just things to consider. So you need to decide on the purpose and audience, okay, of the text to be written or designed. Okay, so that is when we are writing a piece. All right. And secondly, brainstorm ideas using, for example, the mind map. We could use the flow charts. We could use lists, whatever works for you. Okay. And so just remember, so your draft work and all that is or must be included. Okay. Because it will be checked. And in this case, so you need to consult relevant sources, select relevant information, and organize ideas, especially for this task that I've given you. Okay, make sure that you research well, and you choose the right content that will be suitable. All right, and produce a first draft which takes into account purpose, audience, topic, and genre as well. Okay, and it's important to read drafts critically and get feedback from others. Okay, so in this case, please ask mom, dad, cousin, sis, brother, uncle, so just yeah, just see if they can just help you, because I can tell you, um, we often think that we've read everything, it looks correct, until another set of eyes actually reads it and they spot an error that you didn't see. So it happens, okay? So while you do your, or after you've finished your first draft, just ask a friend or ask an uncle or mom or dad or sister to have a read, okay? Edit and proofread your draft, okay? And at the end, you need to produce a well-designed final version, okay? I always, when I explain things, use analogies. So think, if you're a chef and you're asked to produce or to make this beautiful, juicy steak that is delicious and, lovely to the eye. Think about that. What are the processes that will make sure, you know? So you need to do that. So make sure that you produce a well-designed final version. All right. All right, guys. So that brings us to the end. So please remember to tag us on the socials, spread the message, tell others, and so that the lesson reach as many other learners as possible. So thank you so much for tuning in. I see there are two people here. Are there questions? Oh, okay. You are welcome. You are welcome, Ka. Uh, most welcome. So please, so let's tune in again tomorrow, same time, same place. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, bye, guys.